The moment I heard that god-awful shriek from my back pasture, I knew Patricia Harrington had finally snapped. There's a kind of scream that just lets you know someone who's used to getting their way has just realized, today, she's not. Through my kitchen window, I watched this woman in a dress worth more than my pickup, balanced halfway up my barbed wire fence, while my big ol' Great Pyrenees, Duke, just sat wagging his tail like he was front row at the circus. And let me tell you, he had a better seat than most, because all over my 10 acres, there must have been 50 or 60 wedding guests scattered like confetti, some in three-piece suits, some teetering on heels, all of them looking way too soft for ranch land. In the middle of it all was Patricia, clipboard in hand, barking orders, not even bothering to look embarrassed, like this was exactly how she'd planned it. Let me back up a second. I'm Tom Sullivan, and for 15 years my ranch on the edge of Metfield Heights was the kind of quiet most people pay good money for. 3 working dogs, a few head of cattle, just enough peace and space to remind you that the world doesn't have to spin so fast. That was before the developers showed up, threw up a line of McMansions right up to my fence line, and suddenly I was roped into an HOA I never voted for, never wanted, and never needed. That's when Patricia Harrington, who lived 3 doors down in a place that looked like it had been gift-wrapped by Martha Stewart herself, decided she was going to be queen of our little suburban kingdom. You know the type. Her hair is always highlighted, her teeth always perfect, her smile just a little too wide, like she's got a list in her head of who needs fixing. Now, things really got rolling about 3 months ago when her daughter announced she was getting married. Patricia switched from HOA tyrant to wedding czar overnight. Community Facebook posts about her vision for the most Instagram-worthy wedding anyone in Medfield Heights had ever seen. Polls about color themes. Even a survey on what kind of flowers best reflected the spirit of the neighborhood. That's when her eye landed on my property. She started with little hints, comments about how beautiful my red barn would look as a wedding backdrop, how the mountain view would elevate her daughter's day. I was polite at first. No, thank you. My ranch is a working property, not a photo op. I explained about my dogs. Duke, the Pyrenees, Molly, my border collie, could herd anything with legs and a stubborn streak. Tank, my Australian cattle dog, who's allergic to nonsense. Patricia didn't like, no. She started slipping notes in my mailbox about community values, filed noise complaints about my dogs, tried to push a rule through the HOA to cap the number of animals on any one property. I'm not kidding. She even measured my grass with a ruler, as if that was going to scare me into handing over my ranch. Things escalated 2 weeks before the wedding. I caught her future son-in-law, let's call him Brad, out by my barn, tape measure in hand. He said Patricia told him I'd agreed to let them take wedding photos there. I set him straight, and figured that would be the end of it. Boy, was I wrong. That Thursday, I woke up to tire tracks across my hayfield. Security camera caught a car full of groomsmen doing donuts at 2 a.m., beer cans flying. I called the cops. Officer Janet Ramirez, solid as they come, took my report and said she'd have a word with Patricia. Apparently, Patricia's ears don't work as well as her mouth. Wedding day rolls around. Sun's barely up, my front gate's not just open. It's off the damn hinges, propped against the fence like some kind of sick joke. There's a sign, Harrington Wedding Overflow Parking. 3 catering vans already in my field. Drivers tell me Patricia gave them permission. While I'm arguing with them, the guest cars start streaming in. By the time I can get my boots on, there's 30, maybe 40 vehicles on my land. Folks wandering around taking selfies like this is a petting zoo. I call Patricia. She picks up, sounds rushed, tells me I'm being dramatic, that I should be honored. It's only for a few hours. She actually laughs when I insist they clear out. You should be honored, Tom. Yeah, that happened. I call Officer Ramirez again. She says there's a pileup on the highway. She'll come as soon as she can. So I step outside, coffee in hand, just in time to hear the commotion out back. Turns out, some genius groomsmen decided it'd be cute to take a selfie with my bull, Ferdinand. Now, Ferdinand is usually gentle, but he doesn't like surprises. The guy's trying to pose, his friends filming for social media, until Ferdinand gives a little head toss, and that kid jumps the fence like he's being chased by a grizzly. I've had enough. I walk to my porch, give 3 sharp whistles. My dogs know what that means. Duke comes loping in, Molly's already circling, and Tank appears like a little storm cloud on pause, eyes locked on the trouble. I point at the crowd. Move them out. And they do. Duke starts with the catering staff. No growling. Just big and calm and insistent, herding them toward their vans. Molly takes the main group of guests, weaving them together, pushing them gently toward the property line. Tank, meanwhile, fixes his glare on the groomsmen. The one who bugged Ferdinand turns pale as milk and backs away fast. Whole wedding party starts retreating, arms up like they're being robbed. That's when Patricia shows up, her face beet red, stomping across my lawn in her mother-of-the-bride dress, screaming about lawsuits, threatening animal control, demanding I call off my vicious dogs. I tell her, real calm. They're working, Patricia. Maybe you should try it. She dials 911, shrieking about an attack. I can actually hear the dispatcher trying not to laugh. But right then, Officer Ramirez pulls up. She takes in the scene, my dogs calmly herding trespassers, me sipping coffee, Patricia losing her mind, and she just sighs. Patricia runs to her, starts waving her arms, demanding my dogs be removed at once. Ramirez holds up a hand and says, "Permit, Patricia. Got one for this circus." Patricia's face goes white. She'd told the country club she expected 50 guests, but there's at least 200 out here. No permit, no HOA board notice, nothing. Ramirez starts writing tickets. Trespassing, illegal event, property damage, littering, you name it. Calls for backup to clear everyone out. The bride comes out in her dress, train muddy, makeup running, yelling at her mother for ruining her day. The groom tries to bribe me with $500 to just let them finish the photos. I tell him, you couldn't pay me enough to rent my patience. 3 more cop cars roll in, start moving people out. Ramirez informs Patricia she's looking at criminal charges, and I've got grounds for a fat civil suit. The wedding photographer keeps trying to snap shots by my barn, but Duke positions himself like a big, white wall. Anytime a camera comes up, he blocks the view. By sunset, my property is clear. I hear the wedding reception limped along at the country club, but half the guests bailed. The bride cried all night. Patricia's husband looked like he wanted to crawl under a table. Monday morning, I file my suit. My lawyer, David Brennan, is almost giddy. Trespass, property damage, emotional distress, unauthorized commercial use of my ranch. Damages, 50 grand. Patricia hires a big-shot attorney, tries to argue she had implied authority as HOA president to use community resources. The judge barely keeps a straight face. My ranch is private, always has been. If anything, Patricia just proved why HOA shouldn't have that kind of power. Criminal case goes even worse. Trespassing, vandalism, unpermitted event, even a few DUIs for the groomsmen who tore up my field. Local news eats it up. HOA president hijacks ranch for daughter's wedding, makes headlines. Security footage of my dogs goes viral. Duke gets fan mail addressed to the wedding crasher shepherd. The HOA board, tired of Patricia's drama, votes her out, unanimous. Her consulting firm isn't thrilled either. She gets put on leave, pending internal review. There's talk of firing her outright. 3 months later, court day, her lawyer tries to settle, but I want this on the record. Judge rules in my favor. $35,000 in damages, legal fees, plus 200 hours of community service and 3 years probation for Patricia. When the verdict is read, Patricia finally breaks. No more queen of the cul-de-sac, just a mom sobbing on a courtroom bench, talking about how it was all supposed to be perfect. You know what I mean? Sometimes folks with too much control forget the world's got a way of balancing things out. As I left the courthouse, Ramirez clapped me on the shoulder, told me to give Duke a treat, and grinned. Next time you throw a wedding, Tom, invite me first. That night, I sat on my porch, Tank snoring by my feet, Molly gnawing a stick, Duke curled up like he'd never hurted a soul. The pasture was quiet again, but my phone buzzed with new messages. Neighbors, strangers, folks on the internet, everyone picking sides. Was I right to defend my land so fiercely? Was Patricia really the villain, or just a mom blinded by her own ambition? Maybe justice isn't so simple, not out here where boundaries, literal and otherwise, get tested. So tell me, where do you land on this one? Who was right? Who was wrong? And what would you have done if it were your pasture and your peace on the line? Drop a comment. Let's settle this like real neighbors, out in the open, no secrets, no fences nobody should ever climb.